Hello my fellow cultured people, today I will be teaching you how to make my L115A3 or AWM or AWP or however many names it's got. So first of all, while this B-roll of my original intro is rolling, so do your research, all that good stuff, get a base reference picture, and also I recommend you to watch the whole video before starting anything so you understand how the thing goes. And watch this video linked in the description and on the top right corner now, because that will give you a lot of useful information on how to do such research and getting base pictures and tracing and all that, because I'm just gonna skip over that because it's a lot of stuff and it'll help a lot. So yeah, check that out. Also, I started a Patreon, cause why not? If you got extra $2.69 laying around, feel free to join it. Also, the first few people who join will get to have their names put on one of my new guns as a serial. And with that said, let's start. So here is my reference picture drawn out, sketched out. As I've said before, you can see how to do it in the big video. Since it's pretty much the same for every gun, I don't want to waste time. And now cut your drawn picture into these pieces. These will be the separate parts for the whole gun. Now take your big pieces, mainly the main body, and draw it onto a piece of cardboard. Then cut out the front, cut the front hole, and then just cut the whole thing out, cut for both sides, and remember the groove if you want to make it. And also the back. For the back, you just cut out the shape, like top shape, and then you remove the middle layer, you leave the bottom layer and glue back the top onto the bottom, and then you keep the sides up so it makes like a curve. Remember to keep the two strips that you got from cutting the groove on the front of the handguard basically, because you will need them later. Now draw on the other side of your grip on where the curved bits should be, and keep in mind the back is just one straight line down because we have to fold that in. Now cut onto those lines and be careful not to break the top layer, otherwise you have to cut the whole thing again. Congratulations. Remember to cut this bit as well. Now do the same thing for the stock thing, and now this time cut an extended cut from the base of the stock and make a cut on the top and make a cut in the middle of that back curve. Now here's a reference to show you how I cut it, and also cut the top bit there. And now for the back of the grip curve, make two cuts that allows the two flaps to fold in easily without tearing. And do the same, make a nice curved cut for the front flap. Now make this bend at the back here, be very careful, use like a tool to assist you to bend this, because if you fuck this up, you're done. So bend this carefully. Now glue these two pieces, they are 3 centimeters wide. Guess what? Do it again on the other one. Now you should have 2 sets like this. Now take the top layer of the groove that you cut out originally and fold it a little bit so it makes a bend, and then put it back into the groove and then glue it down so it looks like this. Now put 3 centimeter wide pieces into the dark lines where you can see it, and if the picture isn't clear enough, remember those things shouldn't be blocking the magazine and not blocking anywhere near the trigger where the trigger is supposed to be. And also the top piece at the front should be level with the back when the back piece is folded, like at an angle. So that makes sure the next step will connect them both together. Now here's the big moment, gluing both sides together. If you mess this up, your previous week's work is gone to waste. So you have to be very precise. What I recommend is clamping down one side and another without too much force, or holding down, or get someone to help you or something, or use like a corner of somewhere, and slowly glue it down one by one and checking each time to make sure that it's lined up well. So in that way you probably can get it pretty precise. So make sure the angle, the tilt, the straightness and everything is correct before adding a lot of glue. There's no turning back now. Good luck. Yeah, good luck. Okay, next stop. Continue on your piece where it's supposed to be under the barrel. Make another piece that goes to the end. And look at the back there. That's for you to finish that little bit of curve at the top. Just glue it into the corrugation and then trim off the extended bits. And also do the same for the bottom, except that it's not curved. Now, add another 3 cm wide piece at the bottom of the grip, before the bends, of course. Now for the receiver, put 4 bends on a piece of long cardboard with the lines going straight down, so you don't have to cut anything. And then make this kind of shape, with the top 3 bends being shorter than the bottom 2. And then make a hole on the side, that's your ejection port. Remember to make it fit a bullet. Research that as well, research how big the bullet case is. And then add like, I don't know, 2.5 millimeters on the top or something like that. As well as cut out this spot that the bolt handle goes into. So I don't know how to explain this. I have a diagram to show you now. It's basically you leave the bottom layer on for the bend, like the L shape, and then for the curve you remove the bottom layer. And then just glue it on. Then cover the corrugation on that piece. Now put a piece of cardboard that's 3 cm wide, kissing the bottom of where the bend starts to happen, and not after the step. And from now on, all of the curves you meet, like for the curved grip and the curved back part, you do the same thing for future reference. Now put a piece of bent cardboard from one side of the flap and to the other side of the flap and glue the flaps onto them. Remember, for each slight bend of the grip itself, you have to use a new piece of bended cardboard. The front took me 2, and the back, as you can see here, it's a lot of them. You have to do this a lot of times. Keep in mind you have to experiment with different weird shapes, so be prepared to take a long time on this, which I did. This is for the stock hinge detail. I'm not going to make the stock fold because that's going to make it weak. Basically, it's long piece, bend short piece, bend long piece, bend long short piece, and bend long piece. And ensure it matches with the back of your main frame. And if you want extra detail like I did here, you can see that I left a bit hanging, but it connects to those 2 bits. So I first fold those 2 bits when they're connected together, I glue them down, then I cut them so they can have the same shape. And then after I glue the whole thing on, I cut out the bottom so they are separate now. So after this, just put a piece in the middle to hold them strong together, and then make 2 small isosceles trapezoids with a hole in the middle. Cover the corrugation in those trapezoids, but don't cover anything on the bottom. We will do that later, so it will be in one piece and looks nice. Cut down the pin with which you rolled up with paper, and then cover both sides of the paper pin so it looks like this and nice. Remember to make the top one a little longer on the edges because of the slant. Now make a trapezoid that fits through the middle, and with one side longer, that it's long enough to reach the edge of the short bit, like the front bit of the hinge. Now do the same thing for the stock piece. 3 centimeters at these places. Remember to keep space for the monopod and the adjustable cheek weld poles. Now do what you did, it's the same as the before, but except you don't do the bottom bit yet. So, and then cover the top. Now cover the bits so you don't see that weird middle thing with more weird shapes. Have fun experimenting. This took me another day, probably another day or 2. And so keep using top layers and then cut into weird different shapes and make it so those seams are very hard to see clearly and there's no visible big holes or hard lines. And remember to glue the edges down as much as you can so that it looks basically seamless, but there's gonna be a little line, but it's better than a big line, and it feels better as well. And same as the front, same at the front. Fold the back 2 pieces inwards so they should sit behind the outside plate. And while those 2 flaps, like the solid flaps, are inwards and fold it nicely, pinch the front to make it a triangle and then glue it in the tip and cover the rest of the stuff. This is what the bottom should look like. As you can see, the back is folded in and behind the outside plates. Now do more weird shapes and cover the back like how you did the front, like on the grip. Then make this piece and cover the bottom of this part, as well as use a top layer to cover the back of the curved grip. Cover the rest of the middle exposed bit, and then make this little hump on the back. Take a top layer and cover it. It should look something like this. This is the bottom of it. Cover it with a piece of top layer. Now if your bottom piece blocks the pin, you just have to do this and somehow make the pin go through. You just have to make it so the hole is a nice hole, doesn't have anything blocking it. So yeah. Now make these two poles, and then drill into the stock pinholes. Then line the poles up with the holes and draw, mark where the holes are with a pencil or something, and mark which one's on front or back, and then make a paper pin that goes through, and then cut inside that holes in the poles, and then just test it until it works. Then secure it into that space, and then it should look something like this after you secure it. Then do the same for the other side, and then now you have two pinholes for the cheek weld. Now do the same for the other side, which that pole should be located in the middle of those two. And then now cover the top with the same technique you used before, and with keep in mind the bend at the front like this. So yeah. And after that, fold inwards this piece of top layer and shove it into this bit here, so it'll fit nicely with the front bit. And now cover the bottom bit as well, as you can see now. And then this is the top. You just have to reopen those holes. You'll trace it if you line them up correctly. If you just go look at your pinholes and make a hole directly above that at the center of the piece, you will probably most likely have your hole inside the tube at first. So after that, you just have to expand it. So expand it slowly and carefully that it is correctly inside the tube entirely. And hopefully your thing looks something like this. Drill the remaining holes that you need to. And yeah, hopefully it looks something like this, I guess. Now that this piece here, this spot here is stronger, you can finally drill this hole and connect the both parts together. Moment of truth. Hopefully you get this right. You only have one chance. You only got one shot, one opportunity. Mom spaghetti. Keep them in, remember, try and keep them in a straight line as much as possible. And this is the bottom, how they connect together. Now make a little round piece and a little piece of top layer. Roll them together, trim it, make it into a nice little round piece. Stick it on top of the thing. This is a hinge button, or not really, it doesn't really work, but it's for detail. Well, that's part 1 done. I'm sick of editing this, so next episode we're gonna look at how to make the working trigger, the working mag release and the mag, and the working bolt, and also shell ejection. Basically all the working parts. And so if you want to see how to do that, make sure to subscribe with the bell on. When I upload part 2, you can see it. And if you actually made the gun, I would love to see it. So join the Discord server linked in the description and show me. And if you have questions, join it as well. You can ask me anything. Yeah, that's all. Bye.